You know that feeling, right? When you have this complex thought, this deep belief, but finding the right words, it's just tough.
Oh, absolutely. It's something everyone struggles with, I think, articulating those inner ideas.
Well, today we're really going to dive into that. We've got this collection of advanced English conversation questions, 100 of them.
A map document, 100 advanced English questions.pdf.
Exactly. But look, this isn't just about language practice. Our real goal here is to unpack the ideas behind the questions and the example answers.
Sort of dig into the personal growth aspects, the mindset shifts.
Precisely. How we think, how we navigate life today. Think of it as exploring different ways people make sense of things.
And right off the bat, these questions, they really make you think, don't they? They're not surface level.
Not at all. Take the first one, about remote work. It doesn't just ask if you like it.
No, it pushes you to think about how it's changed our whole idea of productivity, of flexibility.
Yeah, how we even define those things now. It really sets the tone.
And the example answer provided, it gets straight to that fundamental shift, doesn't it? It's more than just changing location.
It's a whole rethink. And then question 2 about unwinding.
Ah, yes. After a long day, the examples were simple, like walking.
Walking, listening to ambient music. Seemingly small things.
But they point towards, essential self-care, basic strategies for managing stress.
Exactly. Even when we're wrestling with big ideas, we need those simple grounding things.
Mm-hmm. And that links nicely to the next point, doesn't it? About motivation.
You mean question 3? About staying motivated during tough times.
Yeah. The idea that having a long-term vision is key. It pulls you through setbacks.
That makes a lot of sense. Your daily actions, even relaxing, they kind of feed into that bigger picture, or they should, ideally.
Right. It suggests the need for alignment between your day-to-day and your broader goal.
It's all quite connected. And speaking of managing things, question 11 brings up the Eisenhower matrix.
Oh, the urgent important grid, a classic productivity tool.
Yeah. For anyone listening who hasn't used it, it basically helps you sort tasks, what's urgent and important, what's important but not urgent. You get the idea.
It highlights that need for, strategic thinking in just managing your day or week.
Definitely. And then question 16 tackles that feeling of pressure, deadlines looming.
And the strategy suggested, breaking tasks down.
Exactly. Into smaller, more manageable pieces. Sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective for avoiding that overwhelmed feeling.
It really is. Which kind of leads into thinking about how we develop these skills, these coping mechanisms.
Like emotional intelligence, that comes up in question 4.
Yes, and the source presents it not as something fixed, but as a skill, something you can actually develop.
Through practice and self-awareness, it says.
Which is quite empowering, isn't it? It's not just about intellect. It's about honing your emotional understanding and management.
And sometimes developing means, letting go of things, unlearning.
Like in question 5. The example given was unlearning multitasking.
Yeah, which many people see as a skill, but the example suggests it might be less effective.
It's a great point. Progress isn't always about adding. Sometimes it's about pruning bad habits or ineffective strategies. You need self-awareness for that.
Definitely. And new ideas can trigger that awareness. Question 6 mentions minimalism.
Right, encountering an idea like minimalism and how it might challenge your views on, say, consumerism.
It shows how external input can make you really examine your own habits and beliefs.
Like planting a seed, as you said earlier. And question 7 looks at how we actively cultivate that growth.
Reading, learning languages, surrounding yourself with curious people.
It frames growth as an active investment in yourself, not passive.
Very proactive, and part of that process inevitably involves getting feedback.
Which brings us to question 8, handling constructive criticism.
Viewing it as a chance to grow rather than getting defensive.
That mindset shift is huge, isn't it? Seeing criticism as data for improvement.
It seems crucial if you want to step outside your comfort zone, like the example in question 10.
Moving abroad alone, that's a big step.
A very big step. And the example answer says it paid off, which really highlights the potential rewards of, embracing discomfort.
But even when you do take those leaps, doubt can surface. Question 18 mentions imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, that feeling of being a fraud, even when you're achieving things, especially early in a career, the example notes.
Just acknowledging it, knowing it's common, can be really helpful, I think. Take some of the sting out of it.
But then how do you measure progress on something like that? Or any non-tangible goal?
Question 20 offers some ideas there, tracking feelings, consistency, getting feedback.
So shifting away from just external results to more internal or qualitative markers.
Exactly. It's a different way of thinking about progress.
Which makes you wonder, what's the ultimate aim? Question 9 asks about defining success.
And the example answer is quite telling. Peace of mind and doing what I love.
Yeah, it moves beyond just money or status, doesn't it? Makes it very personal.
Very. And that links nicely to question 13 on balance.
Defined as being present, right? For work, for loved ones, without feeling totally overwhelmed.
The emphasis on presence is key. It's not just about dividing time, but the quality of attention.
A constant juggle for so many people, which leads to that classic thought experiment in question 14.
If money wasn't an issue, what would you do?
Right. The examples travel, writing, volunteering. They hint at those deeper values, those passions that maybe get sidelined by practicalities.
It's revealing to think about. And then question 17 flips a common idea on its head.
You mean failure being more important than success?
Yeah, for growth, specifically. It's a powerful reframe.
Because failure forces you to analyze, to learn, maybe more than success does sometimes.
That seems to be the implication. Setbacks as essential learning moments, not just obstacles.
That perspective must be useful when facing tough choices. Question 21 talks about that.
Weighing pros and cons, but also, crucially, aligning with your core values.
So your fundamental beliefs act as a kind of compass.
That's the idea, which really underscores how much our internal world shapes our view of everything.
Like in question 19 about reading. The example used Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
And how profoundly that book, exploring suffering and resilience, can impact your entire worldview.
It shows the power of literature, of stories, to give us frameworks for understanding life.
Definitely. And sometimes our inner world doesn't quite match how others see us. Question 12 touches on that.
Being seen as extroverted when you're actually quite reserved?
Exactly. It's a good reminder that outward appearances can be deceiving. We shouldn't make snap judgments.
A really valuable point. Now, as we get towards the end of the questions we're focusing on today, there's an interesting pattern from question 22 onwards up to 100.
Right. For all those varied, often complex topics, the example answer is the same.
What was it again?
I believe it's a complex issue that requires thoughtful analysis. Repeat it over and over.
Okay, so what's the significance of that?
Well, I think it's making a really important point in itself. It's saying that many issues, maybe most important issues, don't have simple, easy answers.
They need critical thinking, looking at different angles.
Precisely. Resisting that urge for a quick fix or a simplistic take, the repetition itself is a lesson in approaching complexity.
That's actually quite profound. So, stepping back from these specific questions from the document, what are the big takeaways?
Well, we've definitely seen themes of ongoing personal growth, haven't we? The need to adapt our perspectives.
And how engaging with these kinds of questions, really thinking about them, reveals so much about ourselves, that continuous process of self-discovery.
Absolutely. The real value, I think, is in the self-reflection they prompt. They give you a framework to examine your own experiences, your beliefs, how you handle things.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is, which of these questions really made you stop and think?
Or which answer, maybe even that repeated call for thoughtful analysis, which part resonated or perhaps surprised you?
That could be a great starting point for your own, deeper dive into your own thoughts.
It's definitely a conversation worth having, even if it's just with yourself.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something that seems, incredibly simple on the surface. Everyday English questions and their answers. We've got this list, a collection of 182 of them, from a blog post by Ollie Richards on story learning. It's really aimed at English language learners.
Right.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, basic questions. What's so deep about that? But stick with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this list is actually like a fascinating way to look at how we connect, how we get information, and just the subtle stuff, the art of social interaction.
Totally. Our mission here is sort of exploring the patterns, the unspoken meanings behind these really common exchanges.
Exactly. It's so easy to just take these questions for granted, isn't it?
Completely. But this compilation, it covers everything from like basic greetings, hi, how are you, all the way to hobbies, travel. It gives a surprisingly detailed map of our conversational landscape.
A map. I like that.
Yeah, we're going to dive into why we ask these specific questions, what the typical answers might reveal, and ultimately, what it all tells us about how we navigate daily life using language.
Okay, let's kick things off right at the start. Those foundational getting to know your questions.
Yep.
Name, where you're from, what you do for work.
The absolute basics.
Yeah, but what strikes me immediately, looking at the examples, is even here, the answers often aren't just the bare facts. People add a nice to meet you, or they prompt back with, and yours, or what about you?
And that's fascinating, isn't it? Because these first exchanges, they do so much more than just like gather data points.
Right.
They're really crucial for making that initial connection, signaling you're open to actually talking more. That little tag, and yours, for instance, it's not just asking for information back. It's really an invitation.
Yeah, like your turn.
Exactly. A reciprocal exchange. It lays the groundwork for a more, balanced conversation.
Right. Okay. Then there's the big one. How was your day? It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah. The daily ritual.
And the blog post lists typical answers. Pretty good. Okay. Standard. A bit hectic. Or even that resign. Same old, same old. It makes you wonder, what's the real point of asking this every day? Are we actually expecting like a detailed breakdown of someone's schedule?
Probably not, most of the time. Often, how was your day? Is more of a social gesture, isn't it?
Yeah, acknowledging them.
A way to acknowledge someone's presence, check in on their well-being, basically. And the answer is rarely a full story. Pretty good might just be polite.
Right.
And same old, well, that can mean lots of things. Maybe a desire to connect, but without getting into the weeds. A quick social touch point.
Okay, let's move on to preferences. Things like favorite food, season, movie. This is where it gets kind of fun, I think.
Definitely.
Because the answers often show a lot more personality, what makes someone, tick. They don't just say pizza.
Right. They might say, oh, I love pizza. I could eat it every day.
Exactly. That adds this whole layer of enthusiasm, doesn't it?
Precisely. These preference questions are fantastic for finding out about passions, maybe finding some common ground. When someone goes on about why they love a certain movie, like I've seen it a dozen times, or they talk about the joy of cooking something specific.
Yeah.
It gives you a little glimpse into their world, and it opens doors for deeper connection if you share that interest.
And then there's a simple one, like, do you like cooking? Seems basic.
Yeah.
But the range of answers is quite telling. You get the passionate home chefs.
The foodies.
The ones who are just kind of meh about it, and the ones who are like, absolutely not, I order in.
Yeah. It shows how even a really basic question can open up a window onto someone's lifestyle, their habits, maybe even their values.
It really highlights the efficiency of these simple questions, actually, getting diverse perspectives.
Yeah, even cooking habits can tell you about routines, maybe relationships, lifestyle choices. It shows how these seemingly small questions can be pretty informative on a personal level.
The blog post also mentions what it calls English conversation questions. These are designed to keep the chat flowing. Things like asking about hobbies, or the classic weather question.
Ah, yes, the conversation lubricant questions.
Right. Do you have any hobbies? That's a direct line to finding shared interests, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asking about hobbies is a really targeted way to explore someone's passions. You might stumble upon something you both enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's key for building rapport.
Yeah.
The examples they give, reading, painting, hiking, cooking, photography, gardening, that covers a pretty wide range, so chances are you'll find something.
And the weather, okay, often feels like small talk.
The ultimate small talk.
But as the source points out, people often reply and then ask back, what about there? Or how is it where you are? It's a small conversational move, but it does keep the ball rolling.
The beauty of the weather question is just how universal and, well, safe it is.
Totally non-controversial, usually.
Exactly. It's a safe starting point pretty much anyone can engage with. So it's effective for just kicking off a chat.
Yeah.
And that follow-up question, asking back, it shows you're engaged. You want to keep the interaction going beyond just stating a fact about clouds.
Then we get into questions about language skills or travel experiences. These feel like they can open up some really interesting paths in a conversation.
Oh, for sure.
Revealing maybe shared backgrounds or future travel plans someone's dreaming about.
Yeah, these questions tap into broader life experiences. They can tell you a lot about someone's background, their curiosity about the world, maybe how adventurous they are.
Right.
And finding out you both speak a bit of French or you've both backpacked through the same region. That can create a really strong sense of connection, shared experience.
The travel and transport section in the post has some great vivid examples too. It contrasts like a fantastic holiday with one where someone lost their passport and everything went wrong.
Oh, wow.
That really highlights the sort of emotional roller coaster travel can be.
That emotional range you get from travel questions is pretty significant, isn't it? A simple, "How was your trip?" can bring out stories of pure joy and relaxation.
Or total disaster.
Or, yeah, like in that example, the potential for real challenges. And those vivid stories, good or bad, they make conversations much more engaging, more memorable.
And then you have the really practical ones like, "Excuse me, where's the station?"
Pure function.
Exactly. And the detailed directions given in the example answers, they just underline that core job of communication, getting essential information across clearly.
Yeah, that really illustrates the purely functional side of asking questions sometimes. The goal is just getting the info you need. And success depends entirely on how clear the answer is.
Okay, moving into more personal territory now. Questions about family, about pets.
Getting a bit closer.
Asking about, say, a spouse's personality or someone's marital status. These feel geared towards understanding someone on a slightly more intimate level.
They are. They delve into more private areas, so they definitely need a bit more social sensitivity.
For sure. The range of replies listed for "Are you married?" is interesting too. From a simple yes or no
to a more playful, married, no way, or something like that.
It reflects the diversity of situations and just how people feel about relationships, I guess.
It does. Different perspectives, different life stages.
And pets. Asking about pets always seems like such a reliable way to connect with people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A safe bet for finding common ground. People often have incredibly strong bonds with their animals.
Totally.
For many people, pets are basically family members. So asking about them can be a really wonderful way to connect on an emotional level. Often leads to sharing stories, showing photos.
Yeah, the phone comes out immediately.
Exactly. And that definitely strengthens social bonds.
The blog post then groups questions about free time activities, how people relax, what they do on weekends and the evenings.
Right, sort of tying back to hobbies, but maybe more focused on regular routines and lifestyle.
Yeah. How do you actually spend your downtime?
And these questions give you more insight into someone's values, their priorities. How they choose to spend their leisure time says a lot about what's important to them. Is it winding down? Is it being social? Is it learning something new?
Then we have the absolutely crucial "How are you?" cluster.
Essential greetings.
Yeah, and all its variations. What's up? Are you all right? And the more direct, what's wrong, if someone seems off. The range of possible answers listed, from a breezy "I'm good" to admitting things are not so great, really shows that spectrum of daily feelings and how we sometimes briefly communicate them.
These greetings and check-ins, they're fundamental social rituals, aren't they?
Totally.
They work as polite acknowledgments, but also as little openings to offer empathy or support if needed. And the different ways of asking, "How are you?" versus "What's up?" can signal different levels of formality or concern too.
Interestingly, given the source is this language learning site based on stories, there's a whole section just on questions about books and reading.
Ah, that makes sense for story learning.
Yeah, but the questions themselves about how often someone reads, asking for recommendations. And it specifically mentions asking about books by the author, Ollie Richards, which is, promoting his materials.
Sure, bit of self-promotion there.
But it does underscore how important reading can be, both just for enjoyment and for language development, which is their focus.
No, that's a good point. This section really highlights that strong link between reading and conversation. Talking about books, what you like, what you don't. It's another great way to find common ground.
Right.
And for language learners especially, it emphasizes how reading feeds directly into improving your ability to talk about things. More vocabulary, more ideas.
The post also does this categorization thing, calling questions good or special.
Okay, how does it define those?
Well, good questions are defined as the really basic ones, like "How are you?" and "What's your name?" Your foundational inquiries.
Gotcha, the openers.
And special questions are the ones starting with the where, what, when, where, who, why, and also how. Ah, okay. The information-seeking questions.
Exactly. It gives this simple linguistic framework for thinking about how different questions work, what kind of information they're trying to get.
That's actually quite a useful distinction, especially maybe for learners. Good questions often invite more open-ended answers, feelings, general state.
Yeah.
Whereas the special or why questions are usually aiming for more specific facts or details, like open doors versus targeted probes in a conversation.
Nicely put. And then it touches on questions commonly used in spoken English, giving examples like asking about recent events. Did you see the game last night? Or have you heard the news?
Topical stuff.
Asking about weekend plans, trying new restaurants or cafes, getting opinions on current topics, asking about recent travel. It just reinforces that these kinds of questions really are the backbone of everyday chat.
Exactly right. Those examples really underline how dynamic conversation is, how it depends on context, what's happening right now, what your plans are. They're like practical templates for engaging in real-time talk. The post even throws in a basic grammatical formula for making simple questions, like question word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb, that sort of thing.
The nuts and bolts.
Yeah, which is super helpful if you're learning the language, obviously. But it's also just a reminder of the underlying structure that makes all these exchanges possible in the first place.
Absolutely. Give that clear, concise framework for putting questions together correctly, which you need for communication to actually work. It shows the systematic side of language, how we use these rules to find things out.
And finally, the blog post wraps up with a collection of 30 common questions, drawing from all the different categories we've talked about.
Kind of a greatest hits list.
Pretty much. And seeing them all together really drives home how frequent these inquiries are and how fundamental they are to just interacting day to day.
Yeah, that curated list sounds like a really valuable practical resource. Highlights the absolute essentials for basic communication, for social engagement. Mastering those core questions can make a big difference in how comfortable you feel talking to people.
The post finishes up by suggesting that we can learn even more just by, well, paying attention, observing how people really talk, the questions they ask each other, especially in context, like in stories or books. It kind of brings us full circle back to the idea that understanding language and really understanding social interaction comes from that active observation, seeing it in action.
That's such a crucial insight. Just immersing yourself in the language through stories or consciously listening to real-world conversations. It gives you so much context, so many subtleties that a plain list of questions just can't capture.
Yeah.
It encourages that deeper, more intuitive feel for how questions actually work within different social situations with different people.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into common English questions, it seems pretty clear they're way more than just tools for getting facts.
Definitely more.
They're really like the threads that weave our social interactions together. They let us connect, build relationships, show curiosity, navigate just the complexities of everyday life.
Well said.
And the sheer variety of them, plus all the subtle differences in the answers people give, it reveals this really intricate dance of human communication.
Absolutely. This list, which seems so simple at first glance, actually gives us this powerful lens to look at the very foundations of how we relate to each other. It underlines how these linguistic tools don't just gather facts. They build rapport. They let us share who we are, and they help us forge meaningful connections.
Thinking about this huge collection of questions, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which ones do we personally lean on the most, and why?
Yeah.
Or there may be questions we kind of overlook, ones that could potentially open up more meaningful conversations or lead to, I don't know, greater understanding.
That's a great point.
And how much does the specific situation or our relationship with the person we're talking to shape the questions we actually choose to ask? Definitely something to mull over.
You know how sometimes you're talking and you just want to feel sure you're using the right English phrases?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting those basics down makes a huge difference.
Well, today we're diving deep into exactly that. We're tackling those common, everyday English questions.
The ones that pop up constantly.
Exactly. And we've got this great guide, 200 plus answers to common English questions from 7ESL.
It's a really solid resource.
Think of it as like a shortcut to feeling way more confident in basic English chats.
Sure.
So our mission, if you will, is to unpack the most useful stuff from it, the questions, the answers.
And figure out how they work in real life. It covers so many scenarios.
It really does. Okay, so let's jump right in. The absolute fundamentals. Introductions.
Can't get more basic than that.
You've got, what's your name? Super standard.
And the answers are usually simple, right? My name is Sophia.
Or even just, I'm Liam. A bit more casual.
Yep. Then, where are you from?
I'm from France, or maybe I come from the UK. Pretty standard stuff.
And where do you live? People usually give a city or town. I live in Paris.
Right. And then there's age. How old are you?
Which gets you, I'm 26 years old, or sometimes just...
I'm 28. Quicker.
Exactly. And don't forget, when is your birthday?
Ah, yes. My birthday's on January 1st. It's interesting, isn't it, how English conversations can get to these points quite well directly.
They often do, but I think that directness It helps establish things quickly. You get a basic picture of who you're talking to.
That makes sense. Sort of lays the groundwork.
Precisely. It creates that starting point for the connection.
Okay, so once the names and origins are out of the way, it often goes a bit deeper, right? Personal details.
Like work. What do you do? Or what's your job?
Yeah, and the answers can be all over the place. I'm a student.
Yeah.
I work in a bank.
Yeah.
Or, I'm currently unemployed.
You also hear more specific things like, I work as a tour guide for a local company.
Or the broader, what line of work are you in?
Which might get you, I work in sales, something like that. And if you want specifics, what company do you work for?
I work for an investment bank. It definitely paints a picture of how someone spends their days.
It does. And notice the level of detail can change. A stranger might just say, I work in tech.
Right. But a friend might tell you their exact role in company. Context matters.
Totally. It's often just an icebreaker, really. Opens the door to talk more about skills or interests.
Good point. Then we move into potentially a more personal territory. Beliefs, relationships.
Yeah, questions like, what religion are you?
Which might get a simple, I am a Christian.
Or people might just say they're not religious. Then there's marital status.
What is your marital status? Answers like, I'm married, or I'm single.
Or the more direct, are you married?
Could be a yes, happily. Or maybe even a joke like, nope, still looking.
Yeah. And do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend? Similar answers, yes, I do. No, not right now.
In family. How many children do you have?
I have 3 kids or none yet.
And siblings. Do you have any siblings?
Could be, I'm an only child, or, yeah, I have 2 brothers.
And finally, who do you live with? That tells you about their home life.
I live with my parents, or I share an apartment with roommates.
These definitely fill in the picture of someone's life outside of just work.
They do. But it's important to remember, like you said, these are more personal.
Definitely.
People's comfort level answering these can really vary. You need to be, sensitive to that.
Absolutely. Reading the room is key. Okay, let's shift to something a bit lighter, daily routines.
The rhythm of life questions.
Like, what time do you get up?
I usually get up around 7. Pretty common.
When do you do morning exercises, if you do them?
I try to squeeze in a run before work.
What time do you have breakfast? Maybe around 8 a.m.?
And the end of the day, what time do you go to bed?
I try for 10:30, but it doesn't always happen.
Tell me about it. But these simple questions, they do give you a peek into someone's lifestyle.
Yeah, are they an early bird? Do they value exercise? Stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Subtle clues.
And finding common ground often leads to talking about interests, hobbies.
Always a safe bet. What's your hobby?
So many possibilities. I enjoy reading, I play the guitar, I'm into skateboarding.
Or a whole list. Playing football, swimming, collecting stamps.
And the favorites questions, what's your favorite food?
Oh, I love Thai food. Simple answer?
Same for color. What's your favorite color? Blue, I guess.
Or drink. What's your favorite drink? Definitely coffee in the morning.
And entertainment. What kinds of films do you like?
I'm a big sci-fi fan. Or comedies, mostly.
And the follow-up after watching something. Did you like the movie?
Yeah, it was great. Or, it was okay. These are good ways to connect over shared tastes.
For sure. They're generally easy, low-stakes questions to build rapport.
Right. People usually like talking about things they enjoy.
Okay, how about education? That's a big one for many people.
Where do you study?
I go to university name. Or I'm studying online.
Then questions about the school routine. What time do you go to school?
My first class is at 9. And how do you get to school?
I usually bike. Or my mom drives me.
For university students, what is your major? Is key.
I'm studying engineering. Or my major is history.
And specifically for English learners, which is relevant for many listening, why do you study English?
Or why are you studying English?
Motivations vary, right? I need it for my job.
I want to travel, or simply, I just love languages.
And looking ahead, what do you want to do after you graduate?
Big question. I hope to find a job in marketing.
Maybe I'll go traveling for a bit first. Shows ambition.
Yeah, these questions tap into current focus and future goals. Gives you a sense of their path.
And related to that, the language learning journey itself. How did you learn English?
So many ways. I took classes.
I lived abroad for a year.
Mostly from watching movies and listening to music.
I used a language app. It's fascinating how different people learn.
It really is. Then how many languages do you speak?
Just English and Spanish, or I speak 4 languages.
And the straightforward, can you speak English?
Usually answered with confidence levels, yes, I'm fluent.
I can get by, or a little bit.
And how long have you been learning English?
Since I was a kid. Or seriously, about 3 years now.
It highlights the dedication involved. Can be inspiring for other learners too.
Definitely.
Then for those still in school, which grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade. Or for university, which year are you in?
I'm a freshman, or I'm in my 2nd year.
And the dreaded, do you have any exams coming up?
Yeah, finals are next month.
Always fun. And what's your favorite subject?
I like science the best. Simple preferences?
Natural questions for students gives insight into their school life.
Okay, let's pivot to practical, everyday stuff, like the weather. Can't avoid that one.
Never. What's the weather like? Or how's the weather?
It's beautiful today. Or, ugh, it's raining again.
For specifics, what's the temperature?
It's about 15 degrees Celsius. Useful info.
And time. Always need the time. What time is it?
It's 10 past 3. Almost lunchtime. Let me check.
Huh, yeah. And what's the date today?
It's June 12th. Simple facts we need daily.
Foundational stuff for just getting through the day and making plans.
And the classic greeting, how are you?
So common, can be answered simply, fine, thanks you.
Or, a bit more honestly, a bit stressed today, actually.
Depends who you're talking to. Then, movement. Where are you going?
Heading to the shops. Just going for a walk.
And plans. What are you going to do today?
Got a few meetings, then maybe dinner out. And the immediate, what are you doing?
Just checking my email, making coffee, present actions.
When offering choices, where would you like to go?
How about that new cafe downtown expressing preference?
If someone seems down, what's the matter?
Could be, oh, just tired, or maybe nothing, I'm fine.
Offering help. Is there anything I could do to help?
That's kind, but I'm okay. Or, actually, yeah, could you?
And if someone's quiet, what's on your mind?
Just thinking about work. Or, oh, nothing important.
These cover so many basic social interactions, from politeness to checking in.
Absolutely. Responses really show personality in the relationship dynamic.
Looking back and forward, what did you do last night?
Watched a movie at home. Or went out with friends.
And what are you going to do tomorrow?
Planning to visit my family. Simple future plans.
Then abilities and requests. What sports can you play?
I play basketball sometimes. Not really sporty me.
Asking for help. Can you give me a hand? Maybe with something heavy.
Sure thing. Or, sorry, my back's playing up today.
Bit more formal. Could you do me a favor?
Often gets it cautious. Depends what it is.
True. And direct requests. Could you please give me that book?
Here you go. Easy.
And polite consideration. Would you mind opening the window?
Not at all. It is a bit stuffy. These show how we manage tasks and requests socially.
Right, okay. Shopping. Happens all the time.
Yep. You walk in and, how can I help you? Or may I help you?
And you might say, I'm just browsing, thanks, or yes, I'm looking for sweaters.
Wanting to try clothes. Can I try this on?
Sure, the fitting rooms are over there. Or asking, can I try it on somewhere?
Yeah, there's a mirror right here. Then size questions. What size do you wear?
I think I'm a large. Or, for shoes, what size do you take?
Usually a 9. Checking the fit. Is that a good fit? Or how does it feel?
Just a little tight? Or, yeah, it feels good.
If it's not right, have you got something bigger? Or smaller?
Let me check for you. Standard response.
And the big one. How much is it? Or how much does it cost?
$50? Gotta know the price.
Then paying. How would you like to pay?
By card, please. Or asking, can I pay by credit card?
Yes, of course. And the final check, do you need anything else? Or anything else for you?
No, that's everything, thanks.
Shopping is very much about transactional English. Clear needs, clear answers. Very functional.
Totally. Okay, how about feelings and opinions? More subjective stuff.
How are you feeling? A bit deeper than how are you?
Yeah, could be. Feeling much better, thanks. Or a bit under the weather.
Reflecting on events. How was the party? Or how was your weekend?
It was great fun. Or maybe a bit boring, to be honest.
Getting opinions. What do you think about this event?
It's interesting. Or not really my cup of tea.
Social context. Are you here with anybody?
Yeah, I'm with friends. Or no, just me.
Pets. Have you got a pet?
Yes, I have a cat. A common small talk topic.
Formal introductions. How do you do? Still used sometimes.
Answered with, how do you do? Then simple identification. What's this?
It's a souvenir I bought. Describing people. What does she look like?
She's tall with dark hair. Physical description.
And well-being. How is she? Meaning health or general state.
She's doing well. Then personality. What is he like?
He's very friendly and outgoing. Character traits.
Basic needs. Are you hungry?
Starving or no, I just ate.
And opinions about people. How do you feel about him?
He seems nice. Or a more complex answer depending on the relationship.
These questions really let us share our internal worlds and connect on that level.
Yeah, sharing experiences and feelings. Very important.
All right. Making plans, socializing, big part of life.
Definitely. Simple permissions. May I open the window?
Sure, go ahead. Offering help again. Do you need help?
Yes, please. Or, no thanks, I've got it.
Asking about routines. What do you do every day? Similar to the morning routine.
Well, I work, then I usually cook dinner. Daily structure.
Immediate plans. What are you planning to do today?
Need to finish this report or going to the park later.
After work plans. What are you planning for after work?
Might go for a drink with colleagues or just heading home.
Checking availability. Are you free tomorrow?
Yep, I am. Or, sorry, I'm busy all day.
Invitations. Will you join me for coffee?
Love to. Or maybe another time.
Could we have lunch together one day? More open-ended.
Sounds good, let's schedule it. Dinner. Would you like to have dinner with me?
A bit more formal, maybe? Destination.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
How about that Italian place?
Yeah.
Suggesting options.
Specific event invitations. Would you like to come to the cinema with me tonight?
Or would you like to play a round of golf this weekend?
How about coming to the barbecue at the tennis club? Lots of ways to invite people.
And the responses show acceptance or polite refusal. It's the language of coordinating social life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Directions and getting around. Essential stuff.
Couldn't live without it. Waiting. Have you been waiting long?
No, I just arrived. Or for about 15 minutes. Politeness?
Commute. How do you get to work?
I drive. I take the bus. Standard answers.
Proximity. Is it close to the subway station?
Yeah, just a 5-minute walk, or no, it's quite far.
Duration. How long does it take to get somewhere?
About half an hour by train. Frequency. How often do you ride the bus?
Every day. Or only occasionally, asking for directions. Could you tell me how to get to the police station?
Hopefully gets you clear instructions.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, is there a bank near here?
Looking for amenities. And what's the best way to the museum?
Asking for the optimal route. Very practical language.
Clear and concise is key for directions. No room for ambiguity, ideally.
True. How about phone calls? Still happen?
Yep. Basic request. Can I speak to Emma, please?
Speaking? Or one moment, or sorry, she's not in.
If unavailable. When will she be back?
Around 4 p.m., I think. Checking messages. Did you get my message? Or email?
Yes, I did. Thanks for sending. Or not yet. I'll check now.
Leaving a message. Would you like to leave a message?
Yes, please tell her I called. Standard phone protocols.
Even with texting, these phrases persist.
They do. Work and meetings.
How long have you been working here?
About 5 years now. 10-year questions.
Meeting logistics. What time does the meeting start?
It's at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And what time does the meeting finish?
Scheduled to end at 3:30. Workplace essentials.
Clarity is vital in professional settings.
Mm-hmm. Health questions can be sensitive but necessary.
Right. Are you sick? Or are you okay?
Yeah, feeling a bit rough. Describing issues. What are your symptoms?
I've got a headache and a cough. Duration. How long have you been feeling like this?
Since yesterday. Or for a few days now. Medication. Are you on any sort of medication?
Important for doctors or maybe close friends checking in.
Definitely context dependent.
Okay.
Okay, travel hubs. Airports.
Oh, yeah, a whole different set of questions. Finding things. Where's the counter, please, for your airline?
At check-in. May I have your passport, please?
Standard procedure. Customs. Do you have anything to declare?
Need to know the rules.
Ooh.
Luggage. Do you have any bags to check?
Yes, just this one. Seating preference? Would you prefer an aisle seat or a window seat?
Always nice to be asked. Purpose of trip. What's the purpose of your trip?
Business, tourism, visiting family. Accommodation. Where are you going to be staying?
At the Hilton downtown. Duration. How long are you staying in Hanoi?
For 2 weeks. Finding your way. Could you tell me where Gate E is?
Essential navigation. Airport language is very specific, very procedural.
You need it to get through smoothly.
Okay, simpler errands, the supermarket.
Can I help you find something? From staff.
Yes. Could you tell me where the meat is? Asking for location.
Or specific items. Where can I find the non-fat biscuits?
At the Deli Butcher. How much would you like?
Half a kilo of mince, please? Requesting quantity.
Asking for deals. Can you offer me any discount? Maybe at a market?
Might work. Might not. Packing help? Do you need any help packing?
No thanks, I'm fine. Or, yes please, receipt. Would you like a receipt?
Yes, please, or no, thank you. Quick, efficient interactions, usually.
Totally. How about business hours? Simple, but crucial.
What times are you open? Or what time do you open? What time do you close?
Get you the opening hours. Straightforward.
Essential info. Hotels, another specific environment.
Checking in. Do you have a reservation?
Yes, under the name Smith. Room preference. What kind of room would you like?
A double room with a sea view, if possible. ID check. May I see your ID, please?
Standard practice. Viewing the room. Could I see the room before committing?
Payment details. Do you have a credit card, sir? For guarantee or payment?
Yes, here you are. Length of stay. How long will you be staying?
For 3 nights. Availability. Do you have any rooms available for the 14th of April? If booking last minute.
Key questions for accommodation. Very service-oriented language.
Right. And finally, sharing travel experiences.
Always fun to talk about. How many places have you traveled to?
Quite a few. Or listing some? Going abroad. Have you ever been abroad?
Yes, many times. Or no, not yet. Activities during travel. What do you usually do during your trip?
I like visiting museums and trying local food. Travel style. Do you prefer traveling by car, train, or plane?
Depends on the distance, comparing modes and company. Do you prefer traveling alone or joining a guided tour?
Personal preference. Great way to connect over shared interest or learn about new places.
Definitely. It reveals a lot about someone's sense of adventure and interests.
So, yeah, go through all these. It's clear how useful understanding these common questions and answers is. It's like the building blocks for everyday English chat.
It really is. This deep dive kind of gives you a shortcut, doesn't it? To grasp those essential pieces you need for all sorts of conversations.
From saying hello to navigating an airport.
And what's fascinating, as we've seen, is that these aren't just about swapping information. They're about, social rituals, building connections.
Navigating the situation appropriately.
Exactly. Understanding that deeper function helps boost confidence and fluency, too.
Totally agree. So maybe something for you listening to think about. Which of these questions do you hear or use the most?
Or are there any new ones you feel more ready to tackle now?
And maybe consider how culture might subtly change how these questions land or how they're answered in different English-speaking places. Something to ponder.
Definitely food for thought.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.
Okay, picture this. You're maybe trying to find the right bus stop somewhere totally new.
Yeah, or maybe chatting online with someone from another country.
Exactly. And knowing how to ask those really basic, fundamental questions in English can be a total game changer.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about making connections.
And just, navigating the world a bit more easily.
Definitely. Those basic English questions, they might seem simple on the surface, but they're really the bedrock, for communicating effectively.
Right.
They let you get the essential info, engage in just normal, everyday chats.
Whether you're traveling, learning online,
or just meeting English speakers, yeah.
And that is exactly what we are diving into today. We've got this really handy resource here. It's a document called 50 Most Common English Questions. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, sounds useful.
So our goal isn't just to read this list out loud.
No, that wouldn't be very helpful.
We want to explore the why, why these specific questions. What information are they trying to get?
And how to actually use them.
Exactly. Give you a real feel for using them confidently. Think of it as a shortcut to getting comfortable with asking the basics.
I like that. And what's interesting about this list is how it's organized.
Yeah.
It breaks things down into categories like personal information, introductions, shopping, asking specific things, questions using like, opinions, suggestions. It covers a lot of ground.
From just saying hello to talking about what you might do later.
Pretty much, yeah. A really good overview.
And even with these simple sounding questions, there can be subtle things going on.
Nuances.
Yeah, like how someone asks where you're from or asks for your opinion. It can show little glimpses of different communication styles.
That's a great point.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with what we usually want to know first, personal info.
Makes sense.
The document kicks off with the first 19 questions right there.
Right. When you meet someone new, you naturally want those first details, the core identifiers. Well, what's your name?
Yeah.
Obviously.
The classic.
And then maybe getting more specific. What's your surname or family name? And what's your first name?
Pretty direct, yeah. Essential stuff.
Then finding out about their background.
Origin, right.
Where are you from? Or the slightly different phrasing, where do you come from?
And the document says they're basically interchangeable.
Generally, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Same meaning.
Okay, then it gets a bit more practical. Contact details, location.
Right, like what's your address, where you live, and what's your telephone number, or just phone number.
Key stuff if you're filling out a form or need to actually stay in touch.
Exactly. These are the logistical questions, kind of place someone physically.
Okay. And after that?
Age and birth details come next. How old are you? Mm-hmm. And when were you born? Or where were you born? The example answer it gives is, I was born in 1961 or Seattle.
Simple enough. Clear examples.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets maybe a little more personal than just facts.
Mm-hmm. Moving into circumstances.
Like, are you married? Or the more formal, what's your marital status?
Right. And the answer, I'm single, I'm married, whatever, that can really shift the conversation.
Totally. And then a really common one, probably one of the first things people ask, what do you do?
Or what's your job?
Yeah. The example answer is, I'm a librarian.
And think about how much you might assume or ask next just based on that.
Right. Like, oh, what kind of library, or do you like reading? It sparks more questions.
Precisely. About interests, daily life. Then we get into questions about recent things.
What you've been up to?
Kind of. Like, where did you go? The example answer is, I went to a friend's house.
Okay, so destination focus.
Yeah. And then, what did you do? Focusing on the activity. Example. We played video games.
Makes sense.
And also, where were you? Which is more about general location over time. Like, I was in New York for the weekend.
Ah, okay. Subtle differences in focus there.
Mm-hmm. Then we shift to possession. Owning things.
Like?
Have you got a car? Or job? Or house? That sort of thing.
Okay.
And also, have you got any children? Or friends? Or books? Notice the any there.
Ah, yeah, for plurals or unspecified amounts, like the example, yes, I've got 3 children.
Exactly. Or even for the first type, yes, I've got a good job.
Oh.
You use a for the singular known item. The gotta phrasing is a bit more informal too.
Good point. That any distinction is important.
Next up, abilities. Skills.
Can you?
Questions.
Yep. Can you play tennis? Or golf? Or football, whatever. Example. Yes, I can play golf.
Okay.
And languages, too. Can you speak English? Or French? Japanese? The example answer, no, I can't speak Japanese. Asking about current skills.
Right. And you can ask about the past, too.
You can. Could you speak English when you were 5 years old? Or 2? Or 15?
Okay. Using could for past ability.
Exactly. The example is, yes, I could speak English when I was 5 years old.
Interesting how these basic questions can still touch on someone's history like that.
Definitely.
So that's a lot about background info. Now, how do we actually, start the chat? Perfect transition. That leads us straight into the next category. Introducing yourself. Saying hello.
Okay.
Only 2 questions here, but they're, common. First one. How do you do?
Right. That one feels a bit formal.
It's quite formal. And the interesting thing is the expected response is exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah. How do you do? Pleased to meet you. You sort of echo it back.
You probably don't hear that one quite as much in casual chat these days, do you?
That is often no. This feels a little old-fashioned, maybe.
Yeah. What's the second one?
The absolute workhorse. How are you?
Ah, yes. Can't avoid that one.
And the standard polite answer is usually fine, thanks. And you?
It's almost automatic, isn't it? Like a reflex in English, just acknowledging someone.
Totally. Okay, moving from greetings to something very practical. Shopping.
Ooh, important one if you're traveling or just, buying things.
Exactly. This category starts with that offer of help you always get in shops.
Can I help you?
Yeah, or how can I help you? Or maybe, may I help you?
Yeah.
Slightly more formal again.
And the typical reply, like the document shows, is, yes, I'm looking for a sweater.
And if you find something.
You want to try it on, maybe? Can I try it on?
Right. And hopefully the answer is, sure, the changing rooms are over there or something similar.
And the big one, price.
Yep. How much does it cost?
Yeah.
Or simply, how much is it?
Essential example answer. It's $45. Knowing that is crucial.
Absolutely. Then paying for it. Questions about the transaction itself.
Like how you want to pay.
Exactly. How would you like to pay? And the answer might be by credit card.
Or you might need to ask if you can pay a certain way.
Good point. Can I pay by credit card? Or check? Or debit card?
And the hopeful answer? Certainly. We accept all major cards.
Fingers crossed.
And one last shopping one. What if it's not quite right? Wrong size, maybe?
Yes. Have you got something bigger? Smaller, lighter, darker, whatever you need.
Asking for alternatives.
Exactly. And a positive reply could be. Certainly, we've got smaller sizes as well. All about finding the right fit.
Makes sense. Okay, what's the next category?
This one's called asking something specific. It's quite broad, but super useful for just pinning down details.
Okay. Like what?
Starts really basic, just identifying things. What's that?
Pointing at something unknown.
Yeah. The example answer is, it's a cat. Simple identification.
Got it. Done.
Keeping track of time. Very important. What time is it?
It's 3 o'clock. Can't live without that one.
Definitely not. Then we have permission or requests.
Like asking if you can do something.
Right. Can I open the window? Or, again, slightly more formal, may I open the window?
That can versus may thing again.
The example reply is, certainly, it's hot in here.
Okay. What else in specific?
Finding places, navigation, is there a bank near here, or supermarket, pharmacy, etc.?
Asking about existence nearby.
Yeah. Example. Yes. There's a bank on the next corner next to the post office.
Or you could ask more directly where it is.
Exactly. Where is the nearest bank? Or supermarket, pharmacy?
Vital for getting around. The example. The nearest pharmacy is on 15th Street.
Then there are questions about creators. Who made something?
Who wrote?
Yeah, or who invented, or painted, whatever the verb is. Who wrote? The example uses literature. Hemingway wrote, "The sun also rises."
So you ask about the person behind the thing.
Precisely. Next, asking if something exists, but more about quantities.
Like in the kitchen?
Could be. We use "is there any" for uncountable stuff. Is there any water, or sugar, or rice?
Things you don't usually count individually.
Right. Example answer, yes, there's a lot of sugar left.
Okay. And for countable things?
We switch to, are there any apples, or sandwiches, or books?
Plural things you can count?
Example, no, there aren't any apples left. Again, that word "any" is key for these questions about existence or quantity.
Right. Works differently for countable and uncountable nouns. Got it.
And the last pair in this section is about ownership. Whose is it?
Okay.
You can ask about a specific item. Is this your book? Here's book, her book, etc.
Example answer. No, I think it's his ball.
Or you can ask more generally if you don't know whose it might be. Whose is this? Or whose is that?
And the answer points to the owner. It's Jack's.
Exactly. So yeah, lots of ways to ask for those specific details.
Definitely a useful section. Okay, what's after asking specific things?
We move on to questions with like. These are really flexible.
Like? How so?
Well, they're used for descriptions, preferences, offers. Starts quite open-ended. What do you like?
Just general preferences.
Yeah. Example answer. I like playing tennis, reading, and listening to music. Could lead anywhere.
Okay. What else uses like?
Asking for physical descriptions. What does he look like? Or what does she look like?
Asking about appearance.
Right. Example. He's tall and slim.
Got it.
Then there are polite requests framed with like. Specifically would like.
Like ordering food.
Exactly. What would you like? And the answer, I'd like a steak and chips.
Would like sounds more polite than want.
It does, generally. Then there's asking for a general description or impression of something, maybe a place or an experience. What is it like?
How would you answer that?
The example is, it's an interesting country. Just gives a general feeling.
Okay.
And a super common one. What's the weather like?
Yes. Can't escape that one in English conversation. Example. It's raining at the moment.
And finally, in this like group, we have offers.
Offering someone something.
Yeah. Would you like some coffee? Or tea? Or food?
Polite offer. Example. Yes, thank you. I'd like some coffee.
And a slightly different phrasing, maybe a bit more open. Would you like something to drink? Or eat?
Asking if they want anything in that category.
Right. And the example reply shows another polite touch. Hi. Could I have a cup of tea?
Using could I have instead of just I'd like.
Yeah, adds another layer of politeness sometimes.
Interesting. Okay, so that's the like category. What's next?
Asking for an opinion, which is crucial for deeper conversation, right? Understanding what people think.
Definitely. How does this section start?
With a general question about the topic of something, like a book or movie. What's it about?
Asking for the subject matter.
Exactly. Example.
Yeah.
It's about a young boy who encounters adventures.
Simple summary.
Then asking for someone's opinion more directly on specific things or people.
Right.
What do you think about your job? Or that book? Or Tim? whoever.
Getting their personal take.
Yeah, example answer. I thought the book was very interesting.
Straightforward opinion.
Then we have questions that assess qualities, like size, distance, difficulty.
Yeah.
Using how.
How big is it?
Right. Or how far is it? How difficult? How easy is it?
Asking for an evaluation.
Exactly. Example. The test was very difficult.
And you can use it for plurals, too.
Yep. How big are they? Or how far? How difficult? How easy are they? Example. The questions were very easy.
Okay, makes sense.
And finally, a very common, general way to ask about an experience after it's happened.
How was it?
That's the one. Could be about a trip, a movie, a meal, anything.
A real catch-all. And the example answer?
It was very interesting. Again, a general impression.
Okay, opinion section covered. We must be near the end.
Almost. The last category is suggestions, making plans, proposing ideas.
Ah, right. The document actually skips number 50, jumps to 51 here.
Yeah, looks like it. The first example is about making plans together.
What shall we do?
Exactly. What shall we do this evening? A common way to open up the planning.
And the response.
Let's go see a film. Using let's is a very common way to make a suggestion in response.
Okay, and the second suggestion question.
It's offering a specific suggestion using why don't we?
Like, why don't we go out?
Yeah, or play tennis, or visit friends this evening, or whenever.
It's phrased as a question, but it's really a suggestion.
Right, and the example reply is positive. Yes, that sounds like a good idea.
Even just those two show how you move from asking for info to actually, initiating action.
That's a great way to put it. It shows the progression.
So that covers the 50 questions, more or less.
It does. And as you can hopefully see, they really do provide a solid toolkit, don't they, for handling a whole range of basic conversations.
Yeah, it's not just about memorizing phrases.
No. It's understanding why you ask them,
Yeah.
what you're trying to achieve.
And how they function in different situations.
Exact.
From that very first, what's your name, right through to, why don't we go see a film? They're the building blocks.
Essential building blocks.
Yeah.
It's actually quite amazing how much communication happens just using these seemingly simple structures.
It really is.
So maybe a good takeaway for you listening is to think about which of these questions really stand out.
Mm-hmm. Which ones do you hear all the time?
Or which ones do you feel you need to use more often? Or maybe find a bit tricky to answer yourself.
That's a good point, thinking about your own answers.
Yeah, and how your answers might change depending on who you're talking to or the situation. It's a really good way to sort of internalize it all.
Definitely food for thought. Answering how are you might be different with your boss versus a close friend, for instance.
Exactly. Or how describing where you're from might change based on how much detail someone seems to want. Those nuances are fascinating.